What if the biggest win of your day wasn't some huge deal or a major deadline? What if it was just making it to the end? Today, we're going to talk about finding that applause, not from a crowd, but in the quiet, steady rhythm of our own routines. Let's dive right in.
Okay, so first up, let's get this word down. Paean. Think of it as a victory song, a massive shout out, usually for something big and public. But here's the cool idea we're playing with. What if we could write these little victory songs for ourselves, for the quiet triumph of just getting through the day? And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's all about perspective. That the most mundane, everyday stuff can suddenly feel like something worth cheering for. But how do you actually feel that when you're just plain worn out?
Right, so let's get real for a minute and talk about what's actually going on inside our heads. This is where the real work happens, the stuff that nobody else sees.
So let me ask you something, and seriously, take a second to think about it. When was the last time you were genuinely proud of yourself? Not for some big promotion or award, but just for navigating your day. If you're like most of us, that's actually a pretty tough question to answer.
And this gets at that weird internal conflict we all have. On the surface, yeah, it feels like a grind. It's just the routine. But if you actually stop and listen to that quieter voice deep down, there's often this simple, calm feeling. A little bit of contentment, just, hey, I'm glad I got through the day. And let's be totally honest here. When you are running on fumes, the whole idea of practicing gratitude can feel like another chore, another thing you have to do. It's so easy to feel like, look, I poured every last drop of energy into my day. I've got nothing left to feel grateful about. And that's a completely valid feeling. So you might be feeling okay on the inside, but that quiet contentment doesn't always show on your face, right? And that's where this whole other layer of anxiety can creep in, worrying about how other people are reading you. This is the tricky bit, that nagging little voice that says, what if people think I'm not interested? Or worse, what if they think I'm unfriendly? We get caught up in this fear that just quietly getting on with our stuff is somehow pushing people away. And then you hit this moment, this powerful moment of just acceptance, where you realize, hey, my goal today isn't to impress everybody. It's just to stay afloat. And this quiet focus, it's not a snub to anyone else, it's a survival strategy. It's about doing the absolute best you can with what you've got, right here, right now. That realization is a total game changer because it marks the moment you stop looking outside for a round of applause and you start looking inward to figure out your own worth. And here's the pivot. We have to look inward. Because when we're always looking for that external praise, that pat on the back, our self-worth is constantly in someone else's hands. But the most powerful, most sustainable fuel, that comes from our own intrinsic value. It's what gives you a solid place to stand. So what is intrinsic value? It's super simple, really. It's the worth you have just because you exist. It has nothing to do with what anyone else thinks or any rewards you might get. It's knowing that the effort you're putting in means something to you, whether a single other person is clapping or not. Okay, so we've talked about the struggle, the anxiety, and the solution deep inside. So how do we actually do this? Let's talk about giving yourself that quiet, standing ovation. It really just boils down to these 4 simple steps you can do in your own head. First, at the end of the day, just acknowledge the effort. Seriously, don't just collapse into bed. Take 1 second and recognize what it took to get there. Second, look inward and find the value in that effort for you. Maybe it wasn't about the report you finished, but about the patience you showed. Third, let that feeling, that internal nod of approval, become your real drive for tomorrow. And last, go on and give yourself the ovation. It can be totally silent, but make it real. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Instead of waiting for some big, flashy win, what's one small, quiet victory that you're going to celebrate for yourself today? What's your personal Paean gonna be? Go find it.